My name is Roger Gwinnett, and I've been a member of Friends of Historic Preservation for about 10 years. But about 7 or 8 years before that, I got started with the Salvage Barn idea through doing some work for the city rehab, the Iowa City Rehab Department. We needed some doors and wide trim for an old house that we were fixing up. And the city had just condemned a house on Reno Street to enlarge a park. Well, I went up with the rehab officer and we found a lot of trim, doors, flooring, etc. that we could use on that rehab project that we took out of the house before the house was torn down. The house itself wasn't worth living in, but the parts of it, and here's the key to the salvage barn, is some parts of that house were perfectly usable. It's kind of like making a trip to the landfill and your truck is full, so you'll take some old doors or sheets of plywood and lean them up on the sides to make a sideboard so you can put more stuff in there. Well, you turn what looks like trash into an asset for just a little bit longer, you come out farther ahead. And that's the whole idea with the salvage barn. We just take what parts we can. The flooring, we've got a lot of flooring in here. It's probably one of our bigger sellers. And pull it up, drive it across town and nail it back down in somebody's house and they've got a floor. So if you don't throw your assets away, you're not short of money, as it seems like everybody is these days. Well, that's the whole idea with the thing. When somebody applies for a demolition permit in Iowa City, the city housing department calls Friends and lets us know the owner's name and their phone number. Then we call them up and explain how we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have liability insurance for all our members, and after the owner has got out everything they want to get out of that house, if they're just going to crunch it up and throw it away, then we'll come in and take out whatever we can use for selling or giving back to the city. Or the other thing that happens is that people who help us take things out of the house can drive away with half of the stuff they pull out. If somebody, that's one of our main sources of volunteers, is people who are fixing up their own house. So you've got 3 1/4 fir flooring in your house and you need to patch some in. Well, a 100-year-old house, the 3 1/4 flooring was 3 1/4 inches. Today, 3 1/4 flooring is really 3 1/8 inches. So if you're trying to patch some in, you're going to be in bad luck just trying to match the size as well as the color. When you sand it and put the varnish back on, the new stuff is going to stain a lot lighter than the old stuff. So some of this old stuff is better than new. In fact, a lot of it is better than new, and the fact that you can't get it anymore. So if you're fixing up a 100-year-old house, there's nothing better than parts from another 100-year-old house. So we go in with the owner, look around. If there's still some things that they want to take out, or if they've got sold to the in-laws or sold to somebody else, that's fine. They can have every bit of it that they want to have. We'll just take the tail end before it goes to the landfill. So we have a list, sort of a rotating list of members who are interested in volunteering to help do the demolitions. Everybody has to be a member of Friends so that our liability insurance covers them. So if something happens, the owner of the house doesn't have to worry about getting sued. And it's really pretty simple. One person, when I started the thing about 18 years ago, it was a hammer and a flat bar and one guy, and that's all you really need to do this. You don't have to apply to anybody for a grant because the thing is self-supporting. It would be nice if every county in the state would have one of these buildings right next to where people are throwing everything away, so that you can reuse a lot of this material. Because we've got yellow pine, which is really hard to find at lumber yards. We've got cypress wood, which will still be sharp 90-degree edges 100 years later. It just does not rot, and you really can't buy that at the lumber yard anymore except on a special order. We've got oversized copper gutter here that we took off of Children's Hospital a couple years ago. That's where some of these big pieces of cut Indiana limestone came from. Just things that you don't see anymore. We've got 8.5-foot tall pocket doors. And we've got just a lot of stuff for old houses. Well, the volunteers that come and help take it out, the salvage barn manager, Paul Kinney, picks a day when it's going to work for him and calls the volunteers, and everybody shows up with their hammers and flat bars and starts taking stuff out. Just pull it up, take it out, usually start on the inside so we can leave the house secure overnight, because sometimes the demolitions go on for several days, and you don't want people breaking in from across the street and having beer parties in there and getting in trouble. So we really tried to work on the inside without any sign of anything happening on the outside for as long as we can. And because we're doing things like taking up floors or taking out the stairway or the railings, we try to start upstairs towards the back of the house. And then as we work our way down, there's just no place left to walk upstairs. You keep the windows closed, and we don't take a lot of windows because they're not very energy efficient. But doors, flooring, the outside trim, the lap siding from old houses, and then once you pull up the floor, you take the siding off. The sheeting boards, the 1x8 or 1x10 shiplap sheeting boards, are often yellow pine. Again, those boards, it's just lumber, and you can cut those down and turn it into various kinds of trim, which as you do demolition on a house, you see that's what the old guys did quite a bit anyway, is use 1x8 shiplap yellow pine for the sheeting, for the baseboard, for the casing. They just make a lot of stuff. The cabinets, it was all made out of shiplap yellow pine. So the volunteers help take it out, and then say somebody wants 100 square feet of flooring for their house that they're working on themselves, so they pull up 200 square feet, stick 100 square feet in their truck and drive away with it free. The other half comes to the barn. And members, because they're members, you have to be a member to do the demolition, but then once you're a member, you get a 10% discount on anything else you buy at the barn. The city of Iowa City, for being so nice all this time, we've always donated to the rehab project, any housing rehab projects. The city can just come out and have whatever they want for those projects. If they've got trim that they need to match, rather than having it custom made at $8 or $10 or $15 a foot, they can come out here and just have it free. We've had some success getting other salvage barns started. Burlington has a salvage barn, the preservation station, that operates about like ours. Although Burlington tears down houses in a different way, down there the city will condemn 10 or 12 houses in a block and just decide that in June they're going to tear those 10 houses down. So Iowa City, on the other hand, usually in a year they won't tear down 6 or 8 houses. There's just not that much demolition. Iowa City has a really good stock of housing. We do have quite a variety of stuff in here. It's really hard to catalog. It's just who knows what we're going to find at these houses. And it's not just the house parts. We have sometimes there'll be furniture in the houses, and the other side of this building is occupied by the Furniture Project, which is another sort of semi-city sponsored organization. We'll call the Furniture Project to come and get tables or microwaves or TVs, what the students leave behind in the houses. Sometimes we will call Project Green to come and get the plants out of the yard, small trees or the bushes or the paving stones or the wire fencing, different landscaping elements like that. We have even, at the end of the semester, sometimes the people leave the apartments and don't take anything out. We have given bushels of canned food to the crisis center that people have just left in the cupboards when they moved out. We've taken textbooks to Iowa Book and sold them. You get bicycles, you get beer kegs you can take back for the deposit. You get hammocks, you get charcoal grills, all kinds of stuff like that, so that when you're volunteering and you're getting your half of the stuff, there's just a lot of things that, why throw them away? Why throw them away? If you're going to go around saying, well, I got to sit here this week and write 10 grants so I can have enough money to do what I want to do, it's a lot more direct to just go in the house, get the stuff, and keep using it. We have people calling from all over the state or Nebraska. We've had people calling from Illinois and Missouri wanting us to come and salvage their stuff and bring it back here, but we usually try to tell them, just do it yourself. Now, I have gone to Des Moines and salvaged. In fact, the state brought 10 or 12 inmates from the prison in Newton to come and help salvage things from the Capitol Annex building several years ago, and we got 10,000 feet of flooring. We got all kinds of copper and brass scrap. We got all kinds of radiators. But they sold their stuff at an auction, which is not the optimal way to do it because you have to sell everything on one day. They had to set up a temporary storage that they had to pay rent on, and then the price that they get is just what somebody bids for it. Here, the city has put up this building for us. They took $40,000 from their housing rehab money and put up this building for us and the furniture project, but as I said, in return we've given them probably at least twice that much in material for the rehab projects. What that means is their HUD money goes farther. If they get $250,000 a year from HUD and they have to spread that out among all the houses that they have to fix up, then the material they get from here just makes that money go farther, and in effect what that means is we give grants to HUD, which is not really a common occurrence, but if more people were doing it, HUD would be in better shape. Well, Friends of Historic Preservation started out as Friends of Old Brick 26 years ago, and I don't know when they made the change to Friends of Historic Preservation, but they have been running the Salvage Barn for the last 10 years. We've got Paul Kinney as the Salvage Barn manager. He's been keeping it in really good shape. He coordinates the demolitions. Friends gets about $15,000 a year from sales at the Salvage Barn. That's not counting all the material that we just give away to the volunteers. And it's not counting all the stuff that we give to the city of Iowa City. But that $15,000 a year means that Friends doesn't have to sit and write out grants whenever they want to do anything. We just do it. It really is a nice feeling. I mean, I realize Iowa City is kind of a grant-writing town, but we don't have to do that. We're just self-supporting the entire way.